Hello, welcome to the Overtaxed Taxpayer channel. I save my most provocative videos for you folks here on Patreon because I know that they'll be taken down or my account will get a check mark next to it, if you know what I mean. And 3 checks means they terminate your account. So I save the goodies for you. You know, it's funny, many years now, we've had we'll just call it what it is. We'll just be honest with one another. Muslims blowing up themselves and blowing up other people, terrorist acts all around the world. And I do mean all around the world. And yet, when you call out the Muslims on this, the news media outlets, the liberal news media outlets, the liberal Marxist activist groups immediately come out in defense of them, saying, how can you claim an entire race or entire nationality is a terrorist? Well, first, we know that not every Muslim is a bad Muslim, obviously. These same activist groups have tied the hands of police in all aspects of their duties. Profiling. I remember when profiling became illegal. It was right around the 1990, give or take a year or two. Profiling, the most common sense type of defense mechanism, as well as detective skills. Profiling became illegal. Profiling. Activist groups had a lot to do with that. Liberal news media, liberal politicians, they put an end to it. And it was the conservatives that thought, hey, profiling just makes sense. In stark contrast to today's world, the upside down world, it's still bad to call Muslims terrorists, and it's still bad to profile. However, got a couple of bad cops out there. A very small fraction of bad cops who've done some bad things. Most recently, the George Floyd. You got a lot of protests now, and everybody's claiming, including these same activist groups, that defend terrorists, that take away police profiling privileges. These same activist groups, politicians, news media outlets, Hollywood people saying every white person's a racist. That's okay. It's okay to profile white people, and it's okay to label them all as racist. Isn't that amazing? The contrast. A little coffee here. Cryptocurrencies, our next subject. A Guatemalan bean, 2 shots, some steamed milk, great coffee. I mentioned, I think a week or so ago, perhaps a little longer, that there was going to be a pullback off of Digibyte price and Theta. And in fact, that did happen. Digibyte went from about 2.3 cents, give or take, 2.2, 2.3, and it fell to about 1.8, 1.84 right in there, cents. Now that's a pretty significant percentage based on that the coin from its price that it fell from was 2 pennies, 2.3 pennies, down to 1.8 pennies. It's a pretty significant price drop, and I'm hoping that a lot of people were able to capitalize on that drop, because shortly after the drop remained there for about 2 days, if I recall, maybe even slightly longer. If you were able to capitalize on it, the price of it jumped right back up. That would have been awesome for you to capitalize on it. So right now, I believe, I haven't looked. I'll do that right now while you're here. And I'll talk about theta. Just give me a second, please. So coinmarket.cap is where I normally go to check the prices of all cryptocurrency. Coinmarket.cap. All one word. So Digibyte, which is right around the number 35, exactly, number 35, here it is sitting at 2.1 cents. It's almost rebounded completely from where it dropped from. So you could see why that was a nice drop for it. Now theta is 42, number 42, and these rankings, that's just ranking, 35 and 42, those are just rankings. Every day they can switch 1 or 2 rankings. Theta, it rebounded pretty much right up to where it dropped from. .225. Remember I said earlier that it dropped from 23 cents. It is at point. It's 22.5 cents right now. That's not a bad comeback. And it went all the way down to, I believe, 18 cents, 18.4 cents. So I hope you're able to capitalize on that. Let's talk about a little bit more politics, and we'll call it a day. So I hear Iran. They put out an arrest warrant for President Donald Trump. Excuse me. And they're asking for Interpol for the arrest assistance in arresting our president. Interpol is the international police. So it's funny how they can view President Trump's actions, even though he reduced war. Remember, our past presidents increased war. No call for his arrest. I'm talking about Obama and the Bushes. No call for their arrest. No call for Clinton's arrest. Trump pulls folks out and they call for his arrest. Isn't that amazing? Yet, when the country of Iran dispatches suicide bombers and just bombers in general, terrorists to around the world, they don't see themselves as criminals. Nah. In Russia, I'm reading, I can't substantiate, I can't prove it, but I'm reading in the news media outlets that Russia put out a contract on Donald Trump. There's a point to this. Our past presidents was funneling, and not just Obama, our past presidents were funneling money to a lot of organizations, both political and activist groups, corporations, your tax dollars. They were being increased under the guise of, oh yeah, we need it for this, funding for that, And all along, they're taking that money and they're funneling it to these organizations, to these groups, who are then funneling back a small percentage of their profits back into the Democrat Party is what really was going on. It was some laundering of money going on. So now we're starting to get a bigger picture of what's really going on in the world, because it didn't just happen domestically, it's also happened internationally. Again, Iran, Russian. You forget about the embargo on Russia and you wonder why they hate President Trump? You think they really would rather deal with Joe Biden? I think so. They would get a couple more bucks, they get some sweetheart deals. Our tax dollars would arrive on their, in their airports, in the size of pallets on pallets. China hates our guts now, would love to see Joe Biden back in office. Why? Has anybody forgotten the tariffs that Trump put on China? And I can go on and on about countries who, who Trump doesn't send our money to anymore. We pulled out of the global warming club. None of them talked a bad thing about Donald Trump before he got into presidency. Matter of fact, he was invited into a lot of international parties. All of a sudden, he pulled out of all these groups and they hate him. Why? Because being part of the group meant that we gave the larger percentage of money compared to other members. Global warming. They were furious when he dropped out of that. WHO, World Health Organization, never hated Trump before, never uttered a bad word about Trump. Trump no longer will fund the WHO, the World Health Organization. All of a sudden, they hate Trump, and he's just like all the other entities, unfit, unstable, inexperienced. It's amazing, and I'm just talking about a fraction of the organizations, of the international activist groups that money was being funneled to, and then they would take a percentage and funnel it back into the Democrat Party. Hey, yeah, you give us $6 billion, we'll funnel back about $1 billion to you. Yeah, sure, we can do that. Yeah. They're being paid. All these activist groups, internationally and domestically, are being paid your tax dollars. And you wonder why many people do not want to see Trump in office. Military complex, the military-industrial complex. Wars slow down, as I already mentioned in this video earlier. They're not making as much money. And you wonder why all the generals are coming out against him. This is a lot to do about money, as well as where they want to take this world. They want to take it into a one world government. They want to just implement socialism and Marxism worldwide. And what is it? When you really cut down to it, it's slavery. It is slavery. Legalized slavery is all it is. Folks, thank you so much. I appreciate it. I'll try to make some more videos throughout the week. Take care.